What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. Amazon Kindle create space. Game for home buyers. You know, this is necessary. Um, the reason is because I was having conversations with friends, family, and people not accustomed to home buying. So let's get into it. Some things that people need to understand. You got, for one, where do you live? Where do you want to? Where do you live now? And where do you want to live? Some people want to be in a city. Some people want to be in the suburbs. My personal opinion, live was economically feasible and easiest for you to get back and forth to work so you could save money um, on gas. You know, if you work in a city and you live in the suburbs, you might want to take the bus that takes groups of people, like that carpool type of bus where it just takes groups of people. That way to save you a little bit of gas because it's going to burn up in traffic, trust me. And that traffic jam is taxing on you. When you got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to work, and then you got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get home from work. It's probably best to get somewhere closer to your job if that's your career. you know, and maybe take that 45 minutes to an hour drive and be able to take yourself to the gym in the morning before you go to work, or go to the gym after you get off of work, you can incorporate that healthier lifestyle into your life doing that. For people who just want to be in the city, I mean, you got to understand that depending on where you are, you're going to pay more for less. If you're in the suburbs, you're going to, depending, you're going to pay, you're going to get more for your money. But at the same time, you know, it's different if you're single or if you have children because you want to go to a good school district, your taxes going to be higher. Just, game that you need to know. Times have changed in getting loans. I got this house maybe 8 years ago, I think. It's been a while. I ain't gonna lie, it's been a while. But what I can tell you is, your student loans. If you got student loans, that most people do now, your student loans gonna come into play. So what I mean by that is, I think for every 1%, for whatever your student loan is, you might as well add 1% of that to your mortgage. So a guy was telling me, he said, so if you got $100,000 of student loan debt, whatever your mortgage is gonna be, they're gonna add like 1,000 to that. I don't just to tell you what you're gonna need to afford, to afford to maintain it because you're gonna have to pay your student loans too. So they add student loans into the equation now. They didn't at first. I didn't have student loans anyways. I actually worked my way through school, but that's just for y'all people who do have student loans. They count it now. Of course, the interest rates are probably for your first home, a starter home, than you would previously. So if you got a home that was a starter home, could have started at $85,000 10 years ago. Then 5 years ago it might have been 130. Now that shit's probably 180, 195. So it could be the same exact home, same square footage. You know what I mean? Not same style of home, but the price is go up. The prices go up. So just know your area. Know if you're gonna move into a part of town that is. I knew, like, when I moved into this house, I knew they were building. Were gonna build a lot out here. So my property value keeps increasing because um, it's just sprawling. They're constantly building. So the subdivision got bigger. Then they got this. Then they got that. Then they got this. Then they got that. So I knew that going into it. So if I ever choose to get another home, I can rent out this home. I can get a lot. People could pay for this house, and I can get a lot if I sold it. If I sold it in the next 5 years, I probably get double what I paid for it. To be perfectly honest, because they building so much. You got to take that into consideration. You know, some people, if you're getting a starter home and you're seeing you're not getting as much as you would, go lower. Lower your expectations and get a older house that you could put some work into. That way, it's still a starter home. You can fix it the way you want, and you still might wind up under your price range after it's done. But as long as you got the square footage, the yard space, um, and your renovations might still be great. You still might, if your starter home was 180 and that was your max limit, and you wanted a certain house, but it's like, it might be too much. You can go to a different neighborhood, maybe near the same area, and then get a house for, say, 115, and then put $15,000 of work, $20,000 of work in it. Bam, you got your starter home, and it's pretty much retrofitted to the way the starter home you wanted that may have been a new build is already. Of course, you got to get some energy efficient. You got to watch your neighborhood, because sometimes the older homes, that's a insulation problem. So your bills are high because of insulation or piping, or the water company in that neighborhood might be on some shit because it's an old water company, or your neighborhood may be either prime for gentrification, so they give you a lot of bullshit involved. Some older when you go to older subdivisions, they may not be in the homeowners associations because they're so old. Everything predates the homeowners association, but that doesn't necessarily mean it passes inspection. And but at the same time, the newer subdivisions, watch that too. Like, if you move into a newer subdivision, check the homeowners association fees. Check the rules, because you might like a neighborhood, but the homeowners association will fucking piss you off with the bullshit they pull. With best intentions, they're just trying to keep everything reasonable looking. With worse intentions, somebody just trying to act like they run you. Another thing is, check your surroundings about where the grocery stores, do they have any like malls or shopping centers or restaurants, movie theaters, entertainment, that type of stuff. Because if you pick the right place, you don't have to go too far from home, and you can keep everything close and in house. You know, some places got trails built into the subdivision. Some places are a mile or two away from a trail, so you can kind of keep everything in house, so it keeps your gas money there. You know, and um, I could. It's a little bit more, but it's not that. For me right now, it's trivial. You know, but these are this is for game for home buyers. You know, or first time home buyers. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you feel like refinancing, one of the things you got to do is you got to pay your mortgage on time for 12 months. So if you get it, you get your mortgage, they tell you this is your rate. Your taxes go up, your rate probably gonna shoot up, and you can be like, what the fuck? Um, After a year, maybe a year and a half, and you pay straight, you can refinance then, so that way you don't wind up starting from like scratch or where you at. You know, if you didn't knock too much off of your mortgage, because that could save you, you know, hundreds of dollars a month, could equal thousands of dollars a year. So if you do that, learn to refinance early. Don't get, you know, 10 years, 15 years in and then try to refinance. That might not be a good idea. All right, peace.